Great. I'm Nick Christensen, N-I-C-K, Christensen, C-H-R-I-S-T-E-N-S-E-N. I'm Executive Officer of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office. With me today is John Schultz, our Public Information Officer, and a few updates for you. First of all, just additional update on the potential fatality. We did receive reports of a 60-year-old female that was reported missing from the Cedar Cove area and was observed in the river. Residents in the area tried to contact her and get her out, but were unable to do so. So unfortunately, she is presumed deceased. We haven't confirmed that yet, but certainly our hearts and thoughts go out to the family members. She happens to be somebody who I didn't know personally, but I know her daughter. So a personal connection there for me, and wish them well. We're not going to release the name or any additional details at this point until the family can contact other next of kin. Due to the devastation in the Thompson Canyon primarily, we do anticipate that potentially there will be other loss of life. We haven't determined that yet. We have designated a team of investigators to review all the information we have, follow up with witnesses, and determine for those that are missing their status, and find out specifically what's happening with each and every one of those, and then eventually get data on how many we may be looking at there. So certainly a concerning situation as far as that goes, and one that we'll be developing over the next several days as we get into these remote, hard-to-access areas. We are making some progress as far as accessing some of these areas. We still, as I mentioned this morning, have a total of 7 helicopters active today, 2 Blackhawks, 3 Chinooks, which are the dual rotor, very large helicopters that can haul quite a few people, and 2 Lakota helicopters that are going into the various areas. And I'll go kind of through those, but they're going in, pulling out people that need to or want to get out, prioritizing medical issues, getting them to Crispin Field west of Fort Collins here, and they're going to various shelters after that. Primarily working very closely with through the Red Cross with Timberline Church. They've been a wonderful resource and partner in this rescue effort and assisting with the survivors that we are taking out. Big Elk Meadows, as I reported this morning, we had information on about 120 people stranded in that area. 60 have been taken out. The remaining approximately 60 have elected not to leave, is my understanding, and are still staying in that area and sheltering in place. Pinewood Springs, we reported about 1,200 people stranded in that location, and just a few of those have been taken out there. The priority there has actually been dropping in food. We have over 7,000 meals ready to eat, MREs, that have been delivered there and other locations, along with water and other critical resources. And the Pinewood Springs area will actually be evacuated over the next 5 days. So that'll be a lengthy process, but certainly those people on the ground are getting resources, and responders are able to access them now and make sure that their critical needs are met. So they should be safe and taken care of in their current location. Big Thompson Canyon area, we're still continuing to assess that area and get up into there. Access is tricky because the road is out in multiple locations, and it's a tough area for air to work, obviously, given the tight nature of the canyon. An area south of the canyon somewhat, a little bit more towards Carter Lake, Bear Track, and 18E, there's about 80 people there that are stranded, in Loveland Fire and Air National Guard should be there or in process of getting there as we speak to contact them and arrange to get them out. That's largely being done on the ground with ATVs and off-road motorcycles and that sort of thing to get up into there. Apparently, larger vehicles aren't able to make it at this point. Estes area, we're actually working with Boulder County and accessing an area that's outside of Estes, the Blue Mountain area to the south and the X-Bar 7 subdivision. And since they're a little closer and have the resources, they're going in there and assessing that area. The sheriff, I believe, is still up in the Estes Park area, and we've got responders that are up there. We actually have a satellite office in Estes and working to get their needs met, and that'll be a continuing effort, quite a few folks up there. There is some access through Trail Ridge Road, and for a while Highway 7 was open. Is Highway 7 still available at all? That way to the south? Okay, that's closed off at this point. Trail Ridge Road from the coming in from the west to the east is only open for critical traffic, people who are assisting the evacuees, responders, that sort of thing. So that's the primary access other than air to Estes Park right now. I did anecdotally receive just a report that not through a weather forecast, but that there is some rain as we speak in Estes Park. That's consistent with looking west right now. We do have flash flood warnings for Pingree Park area, Rustic, and Red Feather. So Poudre Canyon and Red Feather area is a little bit north. I assume the rain could come through to the south here as well too. So that's the current status at this point. I just take any questions that you may have.
You said you had that team that was working towards putting a number on the number of people that were unaccounted for. Any updates on that?
Well, I did just speak with the investigators who are working on assessing the missing parties, and there's a significant number that are initially categorized as missing, but it could just be that they've been evacuated and we just don't have that information. So a lot of it is just tracking down some of those details. No specifics beyond the one party that we've definitely confirmed through some witness statements is in fact missing and may be likely deceased, unfortunately. So no details or more numbers yet on that. What's that?
We do have a little number. So we are saying that we had about 100 people that we're calling unaccounted for, not necessarily missing because of the lack of the phone service up there. We are getting reports that some of the residents in the Big Thompson Canyon are hiking up to the top of the mountain and getting cell service and calling their families. So that's coming in. But we continue to collect reports about the people that are unaccounted for at our information line.
One number I forgot to mention is just summing it all up, but at this point we have approximately 300 people total that have been evacuated. So the evacuations are ongoing as we speak and continue to come in. So that number may be significantly higher by the end of the day.
Is there any other exit from Storm Mountain other than Storm Mountain Road down to Drake?
Not that I don't have information on that, so I can't answer that either way.
There could be people up there that would be stuck.
Yeah, there could very well be.
And we do have reports. We do have reports from people saying, again, for the unaccounted for people, we have had some reports for the Storm Mountain area.
Because I guess we don't know the status of that road from Drake up to Storm Mountain, because that's a pretty precarious road anyway.
Yeah, I don't have those details at this time, so I can't tell you either way the status of that Storm Mountain Road at this point. Any other questions?
How many people approximately are working on rescuing and getting people out of the evacuated areas?
I don't have a specific number on how many responders we have in the field right now, but certainly hundreds. There's a lot of support associated with the aircraft. There's ground sources, ground resources, including our office. I mentioned Loveland Fire, and Poudre Fire, a number of agencies that we're working cooperatively with to get boots on the ground and get into these folks. So it's certainly in the hundreds at this point.
Nick, I don't know if you'd be able to speak to it. I know that there have been engineers out doing testing on some of the bridges that weren't taken out or roadways that weren't taken out but might have some structural damage. Do you know anything in the status of those?
Well, I know Fort Collins did their own assessments here, and I'll let them speak to that, but obviously they reopened a number of the roadways, if not all the roadways in Fort Collins, and after checking their bridges. In terms of the county, I don't have any specific information. Most of the bridges up in the canyon area, that roadway has received significant devastation and really, almost entirely will potentially need to be rebuilt from the mouth of the canyon up to Estes Park. I mean, there are places where it's intact, but then equal number of areas where it's gone or mostly gone. So it's not just the bridges up there, but really the entire roadway. So I'm not a roadway expert. We do have those in our EOC, but I could venture to say it's going to be months before those roadways are fully operational again.
Any estimate on the number of people who are still evacuated away from their homes, kind of in limbo, as well as the number of people using the emergency shelters?
Well, I know as of yesterday, there were, this was midday yesterday, about 130 people had been at Timberline. That number is probably in the hundreds now with the evacuations going there. And I don't know on the south part, our evac center down there, but certainly with the 300 we've evacuated, there's a lot of those folks out there. And then there are people in limbo waiting to get back in. We know that's a frustrating situation when you're out of your home. We don't have any updates yet on getting people back in, especially with the weather concerns we have going into this afternoon and tomorrow.
About how big of a population area is evacuated right now?
That's a very good question. We've contacted hundreds of phone lines. I think there were 600 in the Big Thompson Canyon and 400 in the Big Elk and Pinewood Springs area, so 1,000 total phone lines that could go to, it could be 3 phone lines to residents or some with no phone lines. So it's hard to equate that to a number of homes, but fairly large geographic area, actually bigger than we would typically see with a fire, just due to the magnitude of this encompassing really the entire northern Front Range.
The Cedar Cove area, that's in the Big Thompson?
The Cedar Cove area is near the mouth of the Big Thompson, just above the Narrows area there. Yeah, yeah. Any other questions for this afternoon? We'll continue to provide information from our Joint Information Center, and then we're planning a 10 a.m. briefing tomorrow, and then likely a 3 p.m. briefing as well.
Is there at a certain point tonight where air support will stop, or I'm guessing?
Typically, they'll go as long as weather allows, both light and the cloud cover. So they'll do as much as they possibly can. And it just depends on, we have quite a few clouds to the west right now, so we'll leave that to the air boss and the air experts to determine. Obviously, pilot safety is important as well. Anything else?
Were there going to be some photos from the areas we can't get to?
Yeah, we're working on downloading some photos and actually some video from a helicopter that got footage of the Big Thompson Canyon and other areas that were overflowing, and just working through the technical aspects of getting that downloaded and out through our Joint Information Center. But that should be this afternoon. I think that we'll get that accomplished. So that's the objective. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you all, and hang in there. We'll be in touch.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
Like you said, that they would be released later on.
As soon as we get the technical aspects of getting it out.